What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 15 of the Run Your Race show with your host, Akeem.
And Chanelle.
And as the link, not the link, but what it says down below, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Before we get started, hope everybody's had a fantastic weekend and hope the week is going to be amazing. Hope your Monday is off to a great start. How was our weekend? We watched a pretty good show, and I think we should tell people about it.
Champion on Netflix. I think we're late to the game, but
we're probably very late to the game, but it is probably one of the best musical performance production shows with all the drama, all of the things that you would want, and it ends, with a way where we're hoping that there's a season 2. Somebody can pick it up. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check out Champion on Netflix. But enough about that. Let's get into the world of track and field. We've got an action-packed show on deck for today. Last week, we switched things up a little bit, and we did a top 10 performance of the weekend. And I think we're going to continue to stick with that for this show as well. It gives us that ESPN type of feel. Backstory on how we got to this. There is a conversation between Chanelle and I on where we put each athlete. We don't discriminate on our events. It's from all over, but there's a discussion and we each have to make a good point if we don't agree on a certain person of why they should be there. So, it's not, a lot of heat, not a lot of temperature. It's a discussion. But again, like last week, this week, I believe we got a pretty good list. And of course, as we get our list, you let us know your list. Who did we miss? Who would you take out? You guys are bugging. You guys are tripping. How could you forget this person? Make sure you let us know in the comment section below. Let's get into it with the number 10 performance of the weekend goes to Miss Brittany Brown for her performance in Oslo, out of lane 8, 22:32. She beat a very good, solid field. What did you think about this race?
Yeah, I almost didn't have Miss Brown on the list as we were having our discussion about the top 10. I just think there were so many meets to choose from that we had 2 Diamond Leagues, one in Oslo, one in Stockholm. We had the meet in Atlanta, the Edwin Mosins Classic, a meet in Nashville, a meet in Jamaica. So she did not make the cut for me at first, but when you explained it to me, like, Chanelle, she beat a really, really good field in that Diamond League out of lane 8. I'm like, okay, you're right. She deserves to be on this list. So shout out to Brittany. She wasn't the favorite, and she went out there and just did her thing. So she's our number 10.
She did an interview after and said, man, these people flew me all the way out here and gave me this lane. And she just said, I just want my respect. Miss Brown, we're going to give you that respect because it was a really excellent performance. The execution was good. And when you do that from lane 8, remember seeing her off the curve, I was just like, man, is she going to be able to hold that? And she not only held that, but she put a little bit more on the field in order to come away with the win. So she comes in at number 10, 22:32, 200 meters, lane 8 in Oslo. She ran blind and she won blind as well, too. She's number 10. Number 9 goes to Miss Sadie Englehart, high schooler, 4:28:46 in the mile. You know more about this distance than I do. So give us a little bit more of the significance of this because you're explaining it to me, but I'm still trying to figure out how many laps a mile is on the track. So tell us a little bit about the significance of what Miss Sadie Englehart has now done.
Yeah, Sadie, she ran in a professional race, and right before her race, a high schooler ran the mile high school record. And so I'm pretty sure it was on her mind that she wanted to go and break what she saw the young lady before her run, and she did just that. She came second in a stacked field, and 4:28:46 is the first time a high schooler has broken 4:30 outdoors. Mary Kane did it indoor, and so for her to be in the conversation with the Mary Kane, she has to feel happy about that. But shout out to Sadie, because she is now the fastest outdoor miler in high school ever. And 4:28.46, it's fast. I know you don't really understand, but trust me, it is fast. So I had to include her on this list, and thank you for allowing me to.
So with that time, I mean, is there considerations about, do I really need to go to college? That's another show. Another show.
But will she go to junior nationals, or will she go to the Olympic trials, or will she try to do both? You know, she could go out there and win the junior nationals. And so I always like when I see juniors, you know, go out and do that, and maybe leave the Olympic trials for another time. But who's to say she can't do both? So
this is the other side of running extremely well. Is you got harder decisions to make, Miss Sadie Englehart. But you come in at number 9. I think she might be the first high schooler since we've started this that has been on the list. So she comes in at number 9. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it pushing to number 6 is
number 8.
Number 8 is Mr. Noah Lyles, 985 in Jamaica, the top American 100-meter time, number 2 in the world, with U.S. trials coming up at the end of this month, puts him in a good spot. What did you think about this race and this performance?
I remember afterward, you were like, now people can stop saying, when are they going to run fast? You know, you and I, we said they're going to run fast when it's time, and it's time. And he came and he ran the number 2 time in the world in a very good race. And it's just exciting leading into the trials. I would say he is the favorite. And I think those other 2 spots are up for grabs. You have Christian Coleman, you had Fred Curley, but we'll see. I think Noah has clearly set himself as the favorite now.
Yeah, he's in a good position, in a good standing going into the U.S. trials. I mean, you know, you still got the collegiates that are about to run as well, too. And I'm expecting them to run well and to probably run around this type of time, the way how they've been running. Somebody going to run 9.8, unless the winds are negative. But they may not be American at the same time as well, too. But, you know, there was parts of his race that he probably could have executed a little bit better just for me. And I'm sure he would probably say the same thing. And we're going to be talking about a little bit of something in his name after. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't remember what his personal best is. I know it's around this 83, 82, 83, 85. But this is one of his fastest times that he's ever ran. And he hasn't ran a whole lot of hundreds this year. So this is really, really good going into U.S. trials. And, you know, he hasn't run the 200 yet. But this is setting him up to run an excellent 200, especially if his 100's good. He'll be able to carry that, because his best part of his race is the back end. And the back end was definitely apparent in this race. So Noah comes in at number 8 for us. Let's keep it pushing. Let's go down to number 7. I got it right this time. I did not say 6. Number 7 goes to Mr. Jaden Hibbert. World lead triple jump. I believe this is like his 2nd triple jump of the season. You know, last year, you know, he was having an incredible year. And right when he was getting ready for the major championships, he had an injury, so he had to back out of it. But he was almost leaping out of the pit. And he's kind of on that same trajectory this time around. So what did you think about this performance right here?
I'm just happy to hear that he's back and healthy and dominating again. I think he is the heavy favorite going into Paris as long as he stays healthy. So it's just always great to see athletes overcome those injuries, especially in an Olympic year. So just really, really happy for him.
One of the things I remember most when, you know, we were watching Christian Taylor and Will Clay going back and forth was just the energy that those two would have against each other, right? They would jump, he would jump, they would jump, he would jump, and it would be going back and forth, and they would be trying to better each other. This young man has that same confidence and that same energy every single time. He's a guy when he's jumping that you just got to watch him. You just got to see what he can do. And I'm going to say boldly at some point, like, this is a guy who can possibly, in my opinion, has the potential to break that world record. I think he's definitely an 18-meter jumper. It's just a matter of time. If you watch this guy's phases, and I'm not even a jumper like that. And I'm like, man, I got to go watch this guy. So it's good to see him healthy. He's got to stay healthy. Hopefully he can continue to do that. As long as he's healthy, man, and he's locked in, this is a tough guy to beat. Him and the Cubans are going to be a very, very, very good jump. And Zango, can't forget Zango. I can't wait to see how that one unfolds at the Olympics later this year. Let's keep it pushing. Let's go to number 6, which is Hagos Gerb Hewitt. 12, 36, 73, world lead, 5,000 meter in Oslo. I can't even comprehend how much laps it is. That's a lot of laps, man. I can't. It looked great. It looked great.
And it's the second fastest time ever. So just know that it's fast. And everyone in that race pretty much had a personal best. It was incredible to watch that they run that fast for that many laps. It never really gets old to me to see that. So, I think it's fun to see when 5Ks are fast, because when we get to Paris, they become more technical and they sit and they sit and they sit and then they kick. So in the Diamond Leagues, they have a chance to go after these world leads and go after fast times. So that was a really fun race to watch.
Yeah. You know what bothers me, man, is when people are trying to run fast and they don't go with the pacer. It's like, if the plan is to go fast, go fast. Mm-hmm. But, that's just me from the outside looking in. But he wanted to go fast and he went fast. So this was amazing to see. Puts it really into perspective when he says this is the second fastest time ever. Mm-hmm. That goes to show the level that he's on right now with so much more of the season to go. So maybe he takes that number 1 spot. Only time will tell. But he comes in at number 6, and we keep it pushing because we're halfway there as we go to number 5 on our list. And she could have easily been number 4 as well, too. Julian Alfred, 1078 in Jamaica, number 2 in the world right now, national record. What did you think about this race here in this performance?
Dominating. Just dominating. She's raced quite a bit this season, and I think this was kind of her breakthrough race. I would say she looked great, and I think she's not someone who has to worry about an Olympic trials for her country. I wouldn't assume so. So she can keep on rolling, Pat, while all the Americans and Jamaicans and British will have to compete to make a team. It's probably a little bit of less stress for her, knowing that she can just continue to train, continue to compete, because she is going to Paris. So shout out to her.
Yeah, she ran very, 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 very well. And yeah, she's ran a lot, but at the same time, like not as much as she used to run when she was in college. Because she'd be running the 1, 2, 4x1 week after week after week after week. So they're managing her a little bit better, at least for me, that I can see. And again, she's coming off of the week before where she ran 10.9, mm-hmm. and to come back and run 10.78 and how she set up the race. It's if you're not with her in the first 60, man, like she could pull away, or she may come back. This time around, she pulled away and kept pulling and kept pulling. Powerful sprinter. She runs tall. She runs with a lot of force application to the ground, man. So 10.78 right now. Honestly, to me, she's a 10.7 low, maybe even 10.6 by the time she gets to the Olympics. But she's just an impressive athlete, man, and she's going to continue to run well. 10.78, number 2 all time. Number 2 in the world right now, national record for St. Lucia. Man, it's a lot of momentum moving in. She comes in at number 5, Miss Julian Alfred. Number 4, Miss Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, 52.70 at the Ed Moses Classic, season opener in the 400-meter hurdles in Atlanta. What was your thoughts on this performance here?
We watched it, and it looked like she was doing a training run. It looked so easy. She looked like, I listened to her coach afterwards. She wasn't even doing like her normal step pattern. So they really just wanted to see where she was at, get the cobwebs off. And she's incredible. It's hard not to put her in the top 5 when she opens up with a world lead. She beats the field by 3 seconds. So shout out to Sydney. She always shows up and shows out, and it's just exciting to see her run. And the way the fans were just swarming her after the meet, it's just, people are excited to see her, and as they should be.
Yeah, I think that was the thing for me was, being a field by 3 seconds. Like that's a world, those are professional athletes that she's beating. Shout out to Sage Watson Walker now, not Watson Walker, but she's had a pretty tough recent couple of years and she's found her way back. So it was good to see Sage. Sage is from Alberta like me, so we got to keep that Alberta love. But back to Sydney, I mean, you said she was playing it safe a little bit, and playing it safe and still running a season best. I mean, a season best and a world lead on your season opener. If she continues obviously to stay healthy, but now this puts her in a position where it's like, she could go to the trials in the 1, the 2, the 4, the 4x4. So it goes to show the level of confidence that she has right now. And the one thing that I saw in her, man, she's always really composed. And the moment never really seems too big for her. She's just able to perform week after week, month after month, year after year, and to perform well. So if it's one thing that I've learned about Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone over the years, man, is she's going to show up and she's going to do what she does, and she's going to be as consistent as she's always been throughout the season. So the only thing that's going to stop her, man, is if an injury comes. But if she's healthy, man, she's a possible threat to break a world record. Healthy, the right time, almost every time she steps on the track. So she comes in at number 4. Let's keep it moving to number 3, another 400-meter hurdler. We're talking about the man, Alison Dos Santos. Interesting week for him. I mean, you talk about a tear. First, he ran 46.63 in Oslo, and then he came back, ran 47.01 in Stockholm. But in Oslo, he beat the world record holder in Karsten Warholm, and he looked great. What do you think about his performance, both of these runs?
Yeah, I mean, I remember asking you, well, why is he ahead of Sydney? And you were like, well, because he ran twice. And I'm like, you're right. And you're like, and he beat the world record holder. And I was like, okay, you're right. So when you put it like that, that's a tough double within a week. And like you said, anytime you beat the world record holder, we got to give you your props. And he looked good doing it. I know people were saying if Karsten didn't hit that last hurdle, he would have beat Dos Santos. You were like, I don't think so. And I don't think so either. He just finished so well. So just really, really excited to see him, Karsten, and RYR battle it out in Paris. So.
Yeah, before the race started for me, I was like, man, I think Santos going to win this race. I think he's a little bit more race ready, more race sharp. But I also think he finishes better this year. Karsten is going to go out strong, man. He likes to get that shock value and shock the field. But in the last 150, the Santos really comes on strong. And he's tall, he's long, he uses his arms. And that's what we saw. He was so smooth over the hurdles. This hurdle technique has gotten so much better. And with him not, with the injury, he had to miss a year. So he's really fresh, and he doesn't have to worry about his trials like that. I mean, same with Karsten at the same time as well, too. But consistency, a big break is about to come. And we've already seen it very early on so far. So he comes in at number 3. And we keep it pushing. We keep it moving to number 2, Jamel Sajati. He did the same thing that the Santos did, different meets, 143.51 in Ostrava and 143.23 in Stockholm world lead. So he ran a world lead in Ostrava, came back and ran a world lead in Stockholm. And I remember asking you, is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, we watched the Stockholm race, and the way that he just gapped the field, he closed like an animal and didn't even really look tired. And so obviously having those races back to back didn't impact him. And my mind was just blown the way he looked running 143.23. A 142, 141 is definitely not unrealistic for him. So everybody watch out, because Sajati is here.
And this is the thing that I always ask you. It's like, you know, when it comes to, I always want to see a fast race. But you always tell me sometimes it's a tactical race. And seemed like they were trying to use tactics against him until the last 150, where he was just like, no. And he went to the side and he just outkicked everybody and kept kicking and kept kicking and kept kicking. Who can kick like this man right now?
Well, they're going to go home and try to figure it out after a butt whooping like that. You have no choice but to go and figure out, how do we beat this man? So,
and it's great because this is what you want. You want your competitors to be at their best. So when you beat them, there's no excuses, right? You know, Mark Rob has been looking strong as well too. You know, so I'm really curious to see how they're going to tactically run against Sajati, but also be ready to kick when he kicks. Because right now, man, he's kicking the field. No pun intended there. But he comes in at number 2. Excellent week for him. And going to our number 1 on the RYR race top 10 performance of the weekend. We had a drum roll, but we're not going to do a drum roll because it was a serious time. Goes to Mr. Oblique Seville, 982 in the 100, world lead, personal best for him. What did you think of this performance here when you saw it?
When he looked over at Noah, it's like, okay, shots fired. You know, but you like to see that. You like the drama. And I mean, he ran a world lead, personal best. There's not much else you can say. It was phenomenal. And I think he definitely has established himself with a target on his back leading into Paris. So hopefully he can handle that type of pressure. But he's also really good at other events too. So it'll be interesting to see what events he decides on for Paris and how he does. I'm excited to follow him.
I was asked by Alfred, you know, with the time that Oblique Seville ran, well, do you think he should double? And this is absolutely, I think he should double. He's very fresh. He hasn't ran a whole lot. And he ran 19.9 on a straightaway, you know. So to me, and I've said this back in 2017, 18, and I was telling you, I was just like, man, Oblique Seville, if he can learn how to not let the moment get too big where he's up here, he's going to be able to compete with these guys and even beat them. You know, he already showed that he can compete with the best. I mean, he got 4th in the last major championship. You know, it was just a matter of the experience piece of it. To be able to be a champion, to be able to be a winner, you got to compete with the champions and see how they handle the pressure, the nerves, the anxiousness, the crowd. It's a lot for anybody if you've never been there. Now he's been there. Now he's running with confidence. And yeah, there was the picture of him kind of looking over the last little bit there. Well, if he didn't do that, that was 980, 979. But also, I don't even think that was no shots fired type of thing. That was just like, yo, I feel good and I'm here, you know, because they were talking about Noah Lyles. You know, they weren't, not saying that they weren't talking about Oblique Seville. It's Jamaica. They're going to be talking about all the Jamaicans. And first of all, the crowd was crazy loud. That's what you love to see. But to be able to say, wait a minute, this guy beat everybody in the 1 last year and the 2 last year, and I just beat him. And I haven't really got started yet because it's still early. I was just really impressed by Oblique Seville, and I have been of him in the past couple of years. My thing was always just like, man, once he gets that championship experience and he's able to keep that composure, the rest is going to come because he has a great coach. Glenn Mills is his coach. For those that don't know, that's Johan Blake's old coach when Johan was running ridiculously fast, and Usain Bolt's coach. So he knows what he's doing, you know. So incredible run, 982, and he beat a great field. Zarnell Hughes was in that field as well, too, not just Noah Lyles, but a bunch of others. Very, very good performance from him. He comes in at number 1 for us. So let's keep it pushing on deck for what we have on the show as well, too. In that same time, this was going around on the tracks fear on social media. Noah Lyles, he was saying, man, me and a bunch of other athletes didn't even really get in our set position. The gun was quick. And so, there's a lot of back and forth, some people agreeing with him, but more saying, come on, man, what are you talking about? And I was watching the video, I was watching the clip because I don't want to get no judgments from anybody. I want to see it for myself. I didn't see the gun being too quick. I've seen quicker guns in Europe. But it just makes me think, what are your thoughts on athletes making excuses, whether it's valid or, you're looking for, a reaction to why you lost, trying to figure it out. What are your thoughts on athletes' excuses after losses?
Yeah, I listened to his interview, and I really thought that Noah was just sharing his experience. He seemed very adamant that the gun was too quick, and he didn't hamper on that. He said that, and then he moved on and said, I came in second today, but it was a good race. I personally didn't see it as an excuse. I think if he would have won, he still would have brought up the fact that he thought the gun was too quick. A lot of people were saying if he would have won, he wouldn't have brought that up. He was very adamant, like, look, y'all need to fix the starter. So I just thought he was sharing his experience, which athletes have every right to do. I didn't really see it as an excuse. He went on to say, I wasn't the better man today, but I'll see you in Paris. So I didn't see it as an excuse, but we oftentimes do see excuses after losses. And it's like, oh, come on, man, you lost. It is what it is. Just take the L and keep it pushing. So we're not big excuse people. We say, I sucked today, or I took the L today. So it's hard for us to hear when other athletes do throw those excuses out there.
And I think that's the thing, right? Is because, when you lose a race, you just want to hear the person say, man, they just beat me today. Like, that's just what it is. And so in the moment, especially immediately when they ask you, what do you think about your race? And if you bring it up, it's always going to seem like an excuse, so he's in a lose-lose situation. One, because you lost the race. And then when you come out and make an excuse, it's just like, oh, come on, you're just making that because you lost the race. We'll never fully know if he would have said that if he would have won the race because he didn't win the race. But, at the end of the day, as you just said, you and I, there's a time and place for all of that. You still ran a very fast time.
And he acknowledged that. Yeah.
But keep it pushing.
Okay.
So that's my thoughts on that. That's your thoughts on it. But it does build the narrative a little bit greater for when they meet again. So maybe this was all part of his plan. Maybe he's a marketing genius in the end. Right. So let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing, because as we see the athletes in the recent couple months, we've seen a lot of athletes compete, but we haven't seen all of the athletes compete that the world are accustomed to seeing. Which athlete are you waiting to see that hasn't competed just yet? Or maybe in their respective
event?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Akeem. Can't wait to see her open up. I think she is battling an injury. So hopefully she is okay in time for the trials. And I told you, even if she doesn't get a run in before the trials, she'll be okay. She's just that good. Her last run was last year, and she ran, an American record. And so she 154. And so that's her best. So even not at her best, she's still okay. So just hope that she can get healthy in time for the trials. She needs to be representing Team USA in the 800 meter. So just really pulling for her. So a lot of criticism about she doesn't race enough, yada, yada, yada. So I just really hope that she can get it together in time for the trials.
Yeah. And I think part of this topic here in this conversation is because it's when you have favorite athletes and you want to see people run and they ask you, why aren't they running? And athletes should not take that as an attack. We just want to see you run. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just want to see you. It's when people like us and other journalists and reporters and everybody else, it's when we don't talk about you that you should be worried because we forgot about you. And we just want to see these athletes run because it's like, man, we saw the great things that they can do. And we want to see what type of shape you're in. So for me, I definitely wanted to see Mo as well, too. Incredible talent. A couple of names come to mind. Obviously, the big one on the social sphere is Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. We want to see her run. People want to see her run. I saw a tweet that said, I don't care if she runs 11.7. I just want to see her on the track. Yeah. But one thing about her, especially as athletes get older, they're not going to show up until they know that they're in the shape to run, and I think that's part of it as well, too. Also, we want to see Cravon Charleston as well, too. He's the defending 100-meter champ in America. We haven't seen him yet. So hopefully, it's not injury related. Hopefully we see him soon. Shawnee Miller-Weibo, right? We saw her in the relay, but not in the open 4. We want to see where you're at, not to mention she had a baby as well, too. So there's that, too. We just want to see what's going on, like how you feeling, like you're looking good. Like we just want to know. Marvin Bracey-Williams. We haven't seen Marvin. I've been racing against Marvin Bracey for years. I like Marvin Bracey. Yeah. Exceptional talent. We want to see him run. We want to see what's going on. Are you healthy? Right? Is there a lot going on? We just want to see you run because this man, when he is at the top and he's healthy, he's a 9'8" man, possible 9'7" man. And here's a name that I've asked you about a couple times just to see, like, what do you think? Like, what do you think's going on? And maybe he sees this, maybe he doesn't. I want to know what's going on with Donovan Brazier. We haven't seen him in a couple of years. I know it was a massive injury that he had, but we want to hear from you, man. We want to see you, right? So those are a couple names that come to our minds. What are some athletes that you are waiting to see that you have not seen compete yet? Again, I personally think when the outside asks for the athletes, I hope they never take it as men. Don't rush me. None of that. We just want to see you, whether you run well or you not. We want to see you on a track, on a field, you doing your thing. Let's keep it pushing to our last 2 topics. And here's an interesting one that came up. World Athletics Ultimate Championship was announced today. This is fresh off the press, as they say in the journalistic world. Can you break this down for us a little bit?
Yeah. So in 2026, there's going to be a new championship in September. That's how they want to conclude the season for the pros. They said they're only inviting the best of the best. It's going to be 3 days of competition. And it's not all finalized yet. Of course, they have time. They have over 2 years figured out. It is going to be in Budapest. And the biggest thing they're stressing is the amount of money that these athletes will win for going to these championships. It's a $10 million prize purse. First place will get $150,000. Yes. That's bigger than the Diamond League. For track, that's a lot of money. Other sports are like, man, what? But for track, $150,000 is a lot.
That's a breakthrough.
So again, they don't have all the details, but they're trying to let people know that they are thinking about the athletes financially. They are thinking of ways to pay athletes more. And I think it's exciting. 2026 is not a world championship year or an Olympic year. So I do think to end the season with something like this is going to be a lot of fun for the athletes. On the seasons where there is a world championship and there is an Olympics, I don't think some athletes may not be as excited to then go in their season at another big race, but they already do it now with the Diamond Leagues. And with that amount of money available, they will get excited to show up at this World Athletics Ultimate Championship. So shout out to them for thinking of new ways to get these athletes paid. I really respect it.
And that's the thing there, thinking of new ways how to get these athletes paid. You know what I'm saying? Like professional sports, especially professional track and field, it's such a hard thing to make a living from, so you can actually set yourself up after. And opportunities like this, even if these athletes are tired and not looking forward to it, I'm going to get motivated for $150K, at least to try to get $150K. And I think this is a great opportunity for all of the athletes. And hopefully this is the start of more to come. I know Michael Johnson's been talking about his own league as well, too. So that's another thing, too. So as much as people always say, and they say this in boxing as well, too, they always say, man, the sport is dying and this and that. You know, people are trying. Mm-hmm. And I think as long as people are trying to make it exciting, to make it better, then there's still like a lifeline. There's still hope. There's still things. And I think this is a great opportunity. And I mean, even if you're an Olympic champ, world champ, Commonwealth champ, European champ, and you're exhausted, you're going to get the energy to try to win another 150K. USD, all my Canadians are there. US dollars, that doubles. You know, so this is a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward just to see how it actually does unfold and what the heck it even looks like.
Yeah.
So we would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this? Are you excited about it, or are you just in that gray area with us as we're trying to figure out what the heck is it going to unfold? So as we close out the show, you know, we got to come to the Run Your Race topic. And, you know, at the beginning, it was very serious topics. But I felt like, man, you know, it would be a very interesting conversation if we kind of said, from your event, you know, who would be on your 4x8 relay team and who would be on my 4x100 team if all of the athletes are in their primes. So why don't you start us off in your all-time best 4x4, 4x8, who would be on that team? You could even include yourself.
I am.
Okay, cool.
I'm popping us off. I'm first leg. And then, you know, I thought long and hard about this, and I would have loved to compete with the Clark sisters. They're like family to me. I'm like an honorary Clark, right? So it's going me to Hazel Clark, to Joetta Clark, to the Gerald Miles Clark, and we're taking gold.
Oh, you going?
We're taking gold.
All the Clark sisters with the honorary Clark sister. And who's gonna touch us? Please, thank you. Drop mic.
That's my 4x8. I'm not saying anything else.
Fair enough. That's a squad right there. That's a squad right there. Oh man, you dropped all the Clark sisters. Yeah, me. I'm not even on my 4x1 team. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like when I was thinking about this list, I was just like, man, you know, there's gonna be some people watching that says, Akeem, bro, how you gonna leave me off of it? Yo, it's all love. You got lots of teams, and what I picked this week might be changed next week if you would make the list. And I'm thinking about it, and you know, I'm like, okay, number one, like, who's my pop-off leg? There's been so many great pop-off legs. You know,
including yourself.
Yeah, but I'm not on that list. I'm taking myself out of it. But you know, I did run a pretty good leg.
Yeah, you did.
You know, but not about me. It's not about me. It's about the list. And I thought about, man, number one, you always want a great starter, right? Someone who can get you out of the hole, who's going to set you up good, but also bring that little shock value. And so for me, it was a mix between Nesta Carter and Christian Coleman. And so I'm picking Christian Coleman out the hole because I've really one of the best starter in track and field. You saw the 60 time. There's just no debating that. And he runs a really good first leg. So he's going to give me that shock value to get me out of the hole and make whoever's next to me say, wait a minute, why are you so close to me? I know he's going to do that. Now, second leg, man, I was going back and forth with this one because there's been so much great second legs. If you're talking about individual splits, it's crazy what this list may look like. But on second leg, man, I went back and I rewatched what Justin Gatlin did in, I believe it was in Beijing, 2012 in London, when he and who was it? Michael Frater were going back and forth. I'm a Michael Frater guy. And they were going back and forth. And Justin Gatlin, man, just stretched and just really pushed. How he runs, he's perfect for that second leg. And he actually gave the stick with a little bit of lead to Tyson Gay on that third leg. And then Johan Blake backed him up for the third leg, which brings me to my third leg. It's hard not to go with Johan Blake on the third leg, but I'm going to switch it up. I'm going Usain Bolt on third leg. And I know people like Akeem, Usain's got to anchor. Yeah. But did you see the leg and the switch between Usain Bolt on that third leg in 2008 in Beijing, which goes to my anchor leg, who's bringing it home for me, Asafa Powell. Oh, man, that Beijing run when the man was in his dry phase and he popped up, the prettiest thing that I've seen in quite some time. So Asafa going to bring it home for me. Asafa, him and Bolt have the top 3 fastest splits on that anchor leg. So I'm not really losing speed by no means. So I'm going Christian Coleman out the gate. Then I am going Justin Gatlin on the backstretch. Then I'm going to Mr. Usain Bolt, third leg, and Asafa sub 10 seconds, 100 meter, 98, 99 times, under 10 seconds. He's anchoring it. He's bringing it home for me. And we're going like 36 low. 36 low. I know that sounds ridiculous, but we're going 36 low. So
really passionate talking.
Yeah. You gotta give them the full breakdown.
It's hard to tell you it's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen. But it's great to talk about it. This is why it's the Run Your Race show, where we make the impossible seem a little bit possible on the show. So lots that we discussed on the show. In your respective event, your 4x8, let us know who you think. What do you think Chanelle's team would run? What do you think my team would run? Who would you put my team against? Let us know in the comment section below. There's a lot of meets also happening this weekend, including the NCAA championships, which we will talk about next week on the Run Your Race show. So with that being said, episode 15 is a wrap, and we'll definitely see you next week.